Thank you for joining us for this short video on how to make a face mask. The first process in the making of the face mask is generating the art. So here you're going to see the artist actually working on the artwork, and we're trying to create a digital proof, which is what it will look like when it's finished. We do this first to see what it's supposed to look like, and we also send this out to our clients so they have an approval and they kind of see what they're getting when they get the finished mask. So once this is done, you can see the artist here is cleaning the lines up and getting everything ready. Once this is done, we move it into our print operation, which is where we begin the ripping process. And here you can see they load the image and then they adjust the yield to get maximum yield for the layout. And in this case, it's 130 per layout. The next stage is to do the printing process, and here we're choosing our Pantera high-speed printer, and the printer will actually run 1,000 masks in every 8 minutes. Here we are printing onto the paper, and you can see the quality of that print is amazing. The next stage is we take the printed paper and we put it into the heat transfer machine, where we can actually transfer the images to the fabric. As you can see, this process goes up to about 400 degrees. The next stage is we're going to prep everything after it's been printed on our laser cutter. And the laser cutter is designed to cut the product out in a fast way. The first part of that process is where we take and load the fabric sheets in, and we run them for our laser cutter. This is done with the optics camera, which allows us to see the fabric in one big piece. And you can see here the laser is now following those guidelines that it saw on the camera and cutting out the pieces individually. Now the operator is slowly pulling them off. These have been cut and seared on the edges so they won't fray. The next stage is prepping for sewing. So now we've got the printed piece, the cotton, and the elastic, and we're ready to go to sewing. The first stage of sewing is what we call serging. And the serging is how we combine the two pieces of fabric together. We choose if it's black fabric, if we're using black cotton, or white cotton, we use white stitching. You can see the operator here will flip it over and sew it, and they get everything ready for the second stage of the sewing process, which is where we do the pinning of the pleats and finishing with the elastic. The operator here is actually pinning them. We start with about 5 1/4 inch, and she's going to move it down to about 3 inches. So she will pin it, and then she'll take a tape out and she'll measure that she's within those guidelines. She'll do this on both sides of the mask. And this is where we just tack it together. As she's sewing, she pulls out the needles and she flips and does it to the other side. To attach the elastic, it's pretty straightforward. She actually takes one piece, tacks it, turns the loop, puts it on the other side, and tacks it. We'll flip it, do the other side. And then the final stage in the sewing process is where she will trim the stitches and then we'll get it ready for packaging. This is how a mask is worn. And the final stage is our packaging. And that's it.